The Calgary Police Service has begun a pilot project on wearing the body-worn cameras. Starting this week, we have a total of 50 officers that will be wearing the body-worn cameras across the service, which includes the canine section, the traffic section, and also district patrols. There's a test that's being done to ensure compatibility with the recently purchased in-car digital video system, the Panasonic Arbitrator 360, to test to see if the storage works, if it marries up to both being compatible. Body-worn camera is going to be worn by the police officers to ensure the capturing of evidence, the enhanced officer safety, and to provide transparency for the public. The cameras will be activated when the officers are involved in an investigation or possibly like a traffic stop or a domestic situation. The pilot project will run till approximately February of 2013 into the spring, and with that there will be possibly the end of testing to check at that point to see if the systems marry up, see what we're using for storage, and go forward at that point, or possibly at that point end the program. The cameras are approximately $1,200 per unit, and for a total of about $60,000 at this point. For the storage facility right now, there's no charge for storage. We're using some of our in-car camera storage, so there's no cost. Again, it's a pilot project. We don't want to incur extra costs if we don't have to.
So will the officer choose when to turn it on and what? I mean, it wouldn't just automatically go on all the time when you're interacting with the public? Or? No,
there's a button that they would turn the camera on with when they're in an active investigation, or there's an investigation going to start. They would activate it. There's a standard operating procedure that the officer follows, quite like the in-car camera project itself. There's a number of features on this camera. One of them is what we call a pre-event. So if you were standing at an intersection and two cars collided, at that point you could activate your camera and you would capture that event happening, because it pre-records for the 15 seconds. We have it set for 15 seconds, so you'll be able to capture that. It's got a few other features on it. One of them is a gyro. So if the officer's in a position where he's say in a fight or stabbed or something and he falls on the ground, the camera will right itself and be able to see the correct view. And if the camera is mounted on upside down or sideways, the gyro will not only stabilize it, it will upright it.
Do you consider this as further protection for the officers, or?
It's protection for the officer, it's transparency for the public, and it's great for gathering evidence. I have a video that I'll show you in a minute that shows a view of what the officer sees through the camera once he's downloaded the information. And it's not a wireless system. What it is they have to dock it into a station back in the office. There's no viewer with it. It's all back in the office when they're completed their shift.
During the pilot project, can the video be used in court?
Yes. It's the same as the in-car camera video,
yep,
which we've been using since 2007. We've been using in-car digital video in court.
But under the pilot project, the video can be used?
Yes.
All right.
We're going to have situations where the officers are wearing them today. They started last night after training. They could get into a situation where you could have an officer involved shooting that night, right? So that is going to be evidence.
Okay.
It's captured. It has to be released to the courts.
Okay.
Is there an obligation on the part of the officer to inform the person being videotaped that they are being videotaped, legal or otherwise?
No, there's not. There's not. It's the same with in-car camera. We inform people. If officer safety is number one, public safety is number one also. If you can inform the person that it's being recorded, a lot of times that's to your benefit. If you've got 3 people, 4 people drunk outside a bar and they're starting to cause trouble, you tell them we're audio, video recording this, you've called for backup, you've got other units coming, they could disperse. They don't want to be caught on camera, they don't want to be seen on camera. So,
and it's officers' discretion what's being recorded and when.
It's officers' discretion. They have to follow the SOPs. You have the standard operating procedure. They're not going to walk down 8th Avenue Mall and record everything there. There's no point. that would be considered dead video. It would sit in the dead video file until it is deleted after the 13 months of storage, if it's not required for an investigation.
Is that a shirt?
Yes, I'm wearing one right now.
Is that how they'll typically be worn?
They can wear it, yeah, I can wear it on the shirt. You can wear it on the jacket itself. There's clips on the jacket. You can wear it, again, you can wear it upside down. You can wear it sideways. You can clip it onto the center area of your shirt. And it will stabilize, it'll flip itself and gyro. It's not like cameras of the old days, like the Blair Witch Project, where you see it bouncing all over the place. It's very stable. It's, in my opinion, after looking at the ones I've looked at, it's the best technology that the Calgary Police Service can test.
Have you consulted other police forces that you use?
Sorry?
Have you consulted other police departments that you use?
Yes, we've been talking with the Edmonton Police Department, who is doing a study right now on body-worn cameras. And we've consulted with them, and we are back and forth with them on a regular basis. We share our information that we gather on the Panasonic unit, and they are sharing the information they gather on the other body-worn units.
What have you heard from them so far?
It's early in their study. I believe it's only been it's a week or 2 weeks that they've been testing the cameras. So it hasn't been. We're waiting for cold. We're waiting for. That's why we're testing it this time of year. During the summertime, some of the batteries last 90 minutes. These batteries here have an 8-hour life and 5 hours worth of continuous recording. So they're, again, it's a bigger unit with the, it's got a battery pack on your hip, but you've also got the pre-event recording, you've got the gyro built in there, you've got the stabilization, you know, you've got a lot of storage, and it uses a lot of battery.
How much does it weigh?
About a quarter of a pound.
So like you wear this stuff all the time, do you notice it? Do you notice the addition?
No, you don't notice it. On average, you're at about 30 pounds worth of equipment on, when you include your vest. You're about 30 pounds of equipment, so that extra quarter of a pound's you're not gonna notice it.
So in other jurisdictions, I know like LAPD do, they wear the cameras, but they not release it to the public, but they put the videos out. Is there any thought of doing that?
It all depends what the event is. And if it's a FOIPable issue and someone wants information about, you know, they were on camera and they'd like that information, they can certainly make an application to our FOIP department, and you know, under the correct circumstances, they can get that information. No, I hear what you're saying about other departments. I know Oakland has no in-car camera; they have strictly body-worn cameras, is what the Oakland PD has.
Yeah, but you watch shows almost like Cops, right?
Yeah, shows like Cops. We're doing it to gather evidence. We're doing it to keep officers safe, and we're doing it to, you know, for the transparency. Is it going to be running videos all the time for the public? No. If there's an event that is released through our media department here, then yes, they'll show them those events. But other than that, it's like in-car camera. I have right now 80,000 videos stored, and if they're not used, they'll fall off the system. If they're needed for an investigation, then they're tagged and they'll be held as long as they need to be for that investigation. In some circumstances, it's held for 25 years.
And you said though it's stored for 13 months if it's a dead video?
That's correct. 400 days, so we ballpark it around 13 months. It's both audio and video, and what we're looking for to incorporate it with the Arbitrator 360 system will then just automatically, if you were operating a police vehicle that was equipped with the in-car camera unit that I'm carrying on the other side of my shoulder, and let's say you made a traffic stop, you would operate the in-car digital video to make the traffic stop. And at that point, if a person was in a stolen vehicle and ran from that vehicle, then you could go forward from there with a body-worn camera until you capture this suspect. Then when you stop the recordings, the two recordings would marry up so that you would have it under the same case file. That's the idea behind it. But again, it's a software issue, and we're waiting with our testing to see what a Calgary winter will do to the lenses coming in and out of a police car. Will the lenses fog up? That type of thing. How long will the batteries last? How well does it work with the officer?
What percentage of the CPS fleet is equipped with the in-car?
In-car camera right now, there are, I'm going to guess because there's one being built today, so I would say 14 at this point. The traffic section is almost finished at this point. One of our vehicles was written off. It was rammed by a stolen vehicle the other day. So that vehicle is, so we're down one vehicle, but approximately 14. From this point forward, we're moving to the North District to start outfitting the North District once we finish, I think, 2 more vehicles in traffic.
So 14 cars, that's it?
That's it, 14 cars.
Are there plans for more? Or?
Yes, there's 200. Yeah, they're purchased in the sense of they're slated for the installation, but it does take approximately 8 hours to install one. So they're coming out in the new vehicles, plus we're swapping out an old system that we had in our KX system.
Like you said that one of the goals is increased transparency, but do you believe officers will have it running for something that may be contentious? Wouldn't it be easier for them to just shut it off if there's anything that was possibly should?
Well, if, let's say you got into a situation where it started not going in your favor, so to speak, and then you shut it off, then you have to document it in your notebook why you shut it off, and then you have to, your supervisor then will have to be aware of why you shut the camera off. There's certain instances where the camera is shut off, and that's in the SOPs, and those are the only ones they're allowed to shut it off, right?
SOP?
You know, standard operating procedure.
What are those situations?
Well, going into the courthouse would be one. I use for an example. Inside a police facility where there may be police tactics that might be mentioned, right? You can't record all that and then put it out there, right? So situations like that where the prisoners are placed after arrest and detention, right? There's no need to record on a body-worn camera because that's all recorded on CCTV. So areas like that so it lists in the SOPs where they're not to activate the camera. But as for impaired drivers, and this will be new for this service, impaired drivers will be recorded through the entirety. So from the moment of stopping them, the body-worn camera, and for the breath test itself, whether it's on the check stop bus or in the district office, these officers will record as much of the event as they can.
Are there other types of crimes that will be recorded through their entirety as well?
Well, the list goes on. There's a number of, but this is just a new one for the Calgary because we haven't recorded any of the impaired driving breath testing before.
Would that be if a person's pulled over suspected of drunk driving and you have the camera on you, or would you call for a camera when they get someone?
No, you can't call for a camera. Officers, we don't want to, I mean, you're tied up with other.
So it would just be if they happen to have it on?
Yeah, if you have a camera on you. And of
Okay.
course, the more and more, there's a number of cameras in the traffic section. And if an officer that works the check stop happens to stop somebody, or a district member, because they're in all the districts, then they can record the entire event.
So is it 50 officers that will wear them when they're on shift, or are there 50 cameras that will be worn by different officers when they're?
No, they're assigned to those officers. So a heavier volume of cameras is in the downtown core, because we have a number of areas. We have Ramsey, and we have also Vic Park, right? So we have 2 stations down there. We also have beat patrol members, that type of thing, mountain bike unit. So there's a larger, obviously, amount of cameras in the downtown core. But that doesn't stop an officer from a district going downtown to go to court, and then, you know, an event appears and there's the officer standing there with his camera. So officers are all over the city.
But if it's assigned to you and you're on days off, that camera stays with you?
It stays with you, because embedded on the actual video is going to be the officer's regimental. So if he has it moved from, say, his file folder, they can make a copy. Now that copy can go to an internal unit, like let's say the homicide unit. The original stays untouched. So, but that copy will now have his regimental embedded on it, so that the homicide unit knows who they're dealing with. So each officer it's IP specific to that officer and regimental specific. MAC address, everything. It's all that officers for that camera.
Forgive me if I missed this, but what's the cost of outfitting the force with the number of cameras you have now?
Well, it all depends. Now that's an expansion, right? And that would be something we'd have to look at, because if you're fulfilling the criteria of filling all the officers, then it's an expansion of storage. Right now we're borrowing storage to storage we're not using. You have to use, it's a lot of technical, a lot of PoE addresses, PoE ports that we need, a lot of technical stuff. So you'd have to expand some stuff in the offices, because of the charging base, the way the charger works is it uploads and charges on the same, so we need a PoE switch. So it's a lot of technical issues in the background. So I mean, if we're going to expand, that's something we'd have to deal with at the time. We'd have to do the numbers. But based on 50, right? Once again, it's been in play for only last night is when the first recordings may have been made. So we'll have to do the multiplication after February and see, multiply it for a year. Look at our storage, look at costs, look at possibly cost for repairs if it's not under warranty. Do officers break the cable? Do they break the lens? That type of thing. Do the batteries only last, an hour instead of 8 hours? So, I mean, we'd have to wait till the testing's finalized before we can even guess at what it would cost.
Is it 1080p high definition?
No, it's not. And the reason it's not is because to do that, again, storage, right? I mean, if you're going to store 1080p, I mean,
what is
it's
it?
huge. H.264. So,
You've been with the force for a long time. Is this a good idea?
it's a great idea.
Why is that?
Well, I think it's a great idea because it's there's no guessing, and I've been to court on a number of occasions, being the subject matter expert on the in-car camera and probably one day on body-worn camera. And when I hear a judge say, "I think the video speaks for itself," and then I hear the defense lawyer that the accused hired say, "I think the video does speak for itself." Really, if I had a video of anything, a car racing through the parking lot here, and I went into court and I hit play, and the judge watched it, what do I need to say? I issued a summons? That's about it. That's about it. The judge can watch it and go, yeah, he did drive over the sidewalk. He did hit 2 people. He did hit a tree. I mean, the video speaks for itself. I mean, that's why you're all here, because this will get out to the public and the video speaks for itself.
Okay, any other questions? Or do you want to have a look at the demo?
Just to be clear on the pilot, are you testing the concept or just the technical compatibility? I mean, if at the end of the pilot you decide it's not very compatible, is there another option you can try, or do you just scrap the idea altogether?
There could be other options. Technology goes in leaps and bounds, right? Right now, what we find at the Calgary Police Service is this is the best technology for 2 reasons. Because it'll marry up with the Panasonic Arbitrator 360 that we have. So if it does that, that's going to save on another back-end manager for software, right? Huge money on software, huge money on licensing. That saves us all those costs. So that's one thing. And we'll also check again, is the battery going to last? Is the lens going to fog up? It's new technology to the Calgary Police Service. It's new technology in Canada. Other departments are looking at it. And I can tell you that Calgary has got the largest amount of body-worn cameras in Canada, unless another department, because I haven't seen anyone else. I know one or two departments that have 1 or 2 that they're testing, and Edmonton's doing a big test on a number of different units.
Is it Panasonic too?
Sorry?
Is that Panasonic?
This is a Panasonic also, yes.
Where do they come from?
These?
Yeah.
Well, they come from Mississauga in a warehouse. Prior to that, they come from a warehouse in New Jersey in the middle of the storm Sandy is where they sat for a couple of days. And then from there, they come from Japan. So,
Are there other forces that use that model?
yes, there's a number of forces. Toronto's looking at this model. York is looking at it. Delta and Vancouver, I believe.
Is that just the superior model, or do you pick that one for a specific reason?
Well, I mean, it is a superior model. No other model has the gyro in it. No other model has the stabilizer, and it is the superior model, in my opinion, and the opinion of the technicians with the service. So, if you compare them side by side, it's the superior model.
Is there date and time embedded
Yes,
on it as well?
yes, and we can.
And again, that would be in sync with the vehicle unit as well, right? So that
That's correct.
you could show
Yes,
times of pulling up and
that's correct.
encountering it.
And if an officer is off for 1 or 2 days, that's one thing. If an officer is injured and he's off work, we'll reprogram the officer's regimental in there, and the new officer can take over that part of the pilot. So it's not sitting there, right?
In the event of a disagreement, can a citizen request, I want this recorded?
They can request they want to record it. Yes.
But you don't
It would
have-
be
you don't
recording
have to agree.
anyways. It would be recording anyways.
It
On
would.
average, you would have approximately from looking at US studies, on average about an hour and a half worth of video per day. So some of the interactions don't take that long. It might be a traffic summons, it might be a domestic, it might be longer, right? So yeah, so officers will be recording at that time if they're involved in an investigation. And if I was involved, if I was involved in an investigation, I would have it on. It's something that's, you don't want to leave home without it kind of thing, you know, you want this on. It's transparency. When, our PSS gives a call and says, do you have in-car digital video for me? And we say yes. A lot of times, again, complaints are quashed quick, half an hour, as opposed to weeks and weeks. And then you have the investigators from the PSS, an investigator, you have the inspector, the staff sergeant, and the constable from, let's say, a district answering this complaint. And it goes, you have to answer to it. I mean, we're responsible. But with these complaints, people don't want to complain anymore. Not because there's video. I mean, it's because there's video and they said something that they shouldn't have said, or they know they're free to pursue it. They just choose not to because the videos we've watched, they've been wrong, and they know they're wrong. They didn't know they were being recorded, and we've told them. We've told people they're being recorded, and some people just don't care, and they continue doing what they're doing.